Welcome to Brand Lover, honest, real, and lively conversations for flourishing entrepreneurs and budding business owners on a mission to cultivate a heartfelt brand that connects with their purpose-driven mission. My hope is that you walk away feeling inspired and refreshed with a weekly takeaway in your back pocket that you can apply to your life or business. A huge welcome to Hannah Willsmore. She is a registered endorsed midwife, IBCLC, which I think means she's a lactation consultant. Is that right, Hannah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
An award-winning childbirth educator. She is also the founder of Held Midwifery, a private midwifery practice here in Adelaide, South Australia. So welcome, Hannah.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure, to be honest. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your beautiful business. What do you do and why do you do it?
Sure. So I, as you said, am a midwife. I really got started with my business from just working in the hospitals and feeling like women just didn't have the opportunity for really good education and preparation for birth, and also when they brought their baby home. So I've been running my business for about a decade now, just under a decade, which is a long time. It doesn't feel like that long. It's gone quickly, I think. But so it started out just with me just offering childbirth education classes, and then it's really grown from there. And now we have a team of 4 midwives, including myself, and we provide support right from the preconception period, so people that are planning a baby right through their pregnancy, learning about birth, preparing for birth, and then postpartum support when they bring their baby home, and lactation consultant work too. So kind of we're really aiming to support people through that whole journey.
Yeah, that holistic view of the journey through motherhood and out the other side.
Exactly, because it is a
Ever
journey.
end. It doesn't
No,
really end.
no, exactly. And I feel like we've really built out the services that we offer too, because we as midwives, often our sort of scope of practice ends at 6 weeks postnatal. So we do a lot of intensive work in that time with our clients. But like you said, it's beyond that point as well. And that's where more of the lactation support, and we have sleep support now as well. So just supporting families really through particularly that first year of motherhood.
Yes, it's tumultuous, or it can be. It's beautiful, but tumultuous.
Yeah,
So
both.
I guess my first question is, like you said that you started in a hospital, as I imagine a lot of young midwives do. How did you, what made you get that fire in your belly to start? Like, a lot of people have ideas like this, but they stay where they feel safe and secure. So it's quite a big leap to kind of go, okay, I really need to go out on my own. I need to do this. What was the thing that made you do that?
I think growing up, my dad has always had his own business, so I think it was something that was quite normalized to me, I guess.
Yeah,
And for him, he's in quite a niche industry, I guess. So it was something where I was like, well, if you're passionate about something and you're good at it, or you feel like you can offer support in that area, it's something that you've got a lot of drive with. I think that's where I sort of had that belief. So running business didn't seem too scary to me.
Yeah.
Having said that, I also had no idea. Like, I was 23 when I started my business, and I just wanted to do something else. Like, I was working at the hospital, I was enjoying it, but felt very time pressured. So I felt like I had, I was meeting someone in labor for the first time, and trying to help share knowledge and go through all their options and stuff while someone's in labor is really hard to do. And so I just felt like, oh, it would be so great if people could come to their birth with all of this knowledge before. And that's what got me into the childbirth education. And I took really baby steps. Really, I did my training to teach childbirth ed classes and started running them, but I still kept working in the hospital. And I did that for, gosh, probably a good 6 years. I think I was doing both. And I think that's probably what gave me the confidence, because I didn't have to leave my sort of, proper job to do this. I could start really slow. I could just build up from there. And we've really, organically built up. Like, we've added in services as, I've gained extra qualifications, or our team members have, or we've just kind of really organically grown and taken sometimes big steps, but I think a lot of small steps at the start, which made me more confident. in doing it, and always looking at, well, you know, what's the worst that could happen. I remember when I did my training, investing in that and thinking, well, you know, if this doesn't work, you know, I've only spent that much and I'll just go back to my job. It's not that big a deal. So I always kind of, I guess, balance it like that. And I think that's what's helped me to move forward.
Yeah, I love that attitude that like everything's going to work out no matter what, like either way. Yeah. And
And
that's
like calculated risk taking, I guess, that, you know, really there's, you know, there's not too much, I think, that can go wrong, especially when you're taking those not small steps, but, you know, calculated kind of steps.
considered.
Considered, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you had been, so just shifting onto the brand talk now. So you had been DIYing everything for your brand until, well, what was it, like 2 months ago?
Exactly.
At which point, like, you had grown so incredibly well and you had built this organic brand and this lovely reputation. But the visual side that you were presenting didn't really align with where you saw the business going. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you contacted me and it was all very nice and I was really pleased to hear from you, et cetera, et cetera. But I would love to know what the catalyst was that got you to that point. You know, you talk about these baby steps and baby steps and baby steps and calculated risks. And of course, working with a brand designer is a risk because, you know, who knows what I could spit out the other side. Like, it's still a risk because there is a certain element of I guess, subjectiveness and art involved. So yeah, I'd love to sort of know why you made the decision to, like, what steps led you to the point of contacting me? Yeah.
I think it's probably a number of steps over probably years, actually. So like you said, I had DIY'd everything from the start, and that was really just budget wise, you know, and just trying to keep things very lean when I was starting up. And then I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy playing around on Canva, and you know, that sort of, it feels quite creative to me. So it's not something that I didn't like doing. However, it was very time consuming, and I also don't, of course, now that, like, as in we've worked together, I did not do a very good job of it. You can see now how much more goes into it and how much more professional it looks and polished, and it's amazing. So I think I was just doing it, and I think also I got a little bit caught up too in just working in the business as well. And the catalyst probably really came a few years ago when we expanded to a team. So I'd had a few different business names. I had Adelaide Hypnobirthing when I first started, when I was just doing hypnobirthing, but then that was a bit restrictive when we expanded to other services. So then I moved to just my own name. And that worked quite well because people would say to me, you know, are you Hannah that teaches hypnobirthing? So it sort of worked when it was just me. And then when we expanded to having the team, still kept going with that name because I think there was so much awareness around that. Adelaide, obviously, you know, being, you know, quite a small place, I think word of mouth is huge here. So, and it just felt like it gave me the flexibility to then offer what I wanted, really. I wasn't sort of pigeonholed into a box of just hypnobirthing or just something. So it kind of, the catalyst probably came years ago when we expanded the team, but I didn't know what name I wanted. I just wasn't sure. I was also pregnant when we did all that. So I knew that I was heading into maternity leave, and really that was just my focus, to be honest, was setting up the business for maternity leave and not trying to change too much. So that was probably the first catalyst. But then coming back now, my son's almost 2, and, you know, maternity leave and running a business in that first year is a little bit hectic, you know, to trying to balance it all. And I just felt like I didn't have much time to grow the business. We just needed to be working and, you know, doing what we were doing. And I had all these ideas and all these grand plans, but just didn't have the time to execute it. So it was only really a few months ago, I think, 2 months ago, maybe I contacted you. Maybe a month before that, I really started thinking about what we want to do with what I want to do with this business going forward, and trying to make more strategic decisions that align with the future goals rather than just week to week working in it and supporting clients and thinking about, you know, where do I want things to look in 5 or 10 years. And enlisted a few professionals, worked with a marketing consultant, and she said to me very early on in the piece, she said, oh, it's interesting because it took me about 5 minutes of being on your website before I realized you even have a team. And that's when I thought,
Mm.
yeah, this name and the website design, but this name is not working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably, I guess, the second push to really go, we are a team. It doesn't feel right to me anymore.
Yeah.
I know some brands run under the names, so things like Ella Bachet and probably other ones around the place too. But I know some people can make it work, but it just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right
Yeah.
for it to be my name or when we had this whole team of amazing professionals. So kind of was a logical decision, but then also a bit of a feeling in my gut that we needed to change.
Yeah.
Change. And so we changed the name, but also our whole branding as well. So we did sort of both at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think I reached out to you maybe the day after I had that conversation with the
Oh,
marketing
wow.
consultant, because I'd followed your stuff for years and I'd looked, I thought I better just actually do some research rather than just going with the one
Yeah.
person that I
Do your
know.
due diligence.
Yeah, and I was just looking at other people and other websites, and I was like, I just don't love it. I just
Mm.
like it's good and it's fine, and it would be adequate, but I just don't love it. And if I'm going to do this whole process and
Mm.
invest, the time and the money and everything, like I want it to be amazing. And that's where I went with you, because I just felt like I'd seen your stuff, I'd seen your designs, your portfolio and everything, and I really loved what you did. And I felt like it was different.
Well, that's just
Mm.
lovely. Thank you. Expecting to hear all that. But I would love to know whether you can articulate it or not. I don't know. Was it something specific that you were looking for in a designer? Like, was it, I don't know, like, was it just a gut feeling that you decided to follow?
I think quite a lot of it was a gut feeling, but I think something, and it's probably even hard to articulate, but I just felt like looking at your the designs you'd done before and logos, I just felt like there was something different about them, like a
Mm.
little bit, just not your stocks, like just a little bit different, and hard to articulate probably why, but I just felt like each one I looked at, I was like, oh, I like that. And I can't necessarily say why, but I just think it looks it looks quite original, which I
Mm.
think um yeah, like it's, branding and everything, that's kind of what it's about too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is having your um not what you're known for, but like, your whole branding, and it's cohesive and
Yeah.
it's, it reflects you. And I also think I did want someone, I felt like I didn't know how to articulate what I wanted. And I don't know that
Mm.
I think you did so amazing with my very like vague ideas, especially at the
Like,
start. I felt like I knew what I didn't like, but I felt like I couldn't really articulate what I did like. And so I just sort of liked your process that you had,
mm.
the call, and filling out all the information. So you had all of that and the questions that you asked me. And I felt confident that you would be able to get the essence of the business and what we
Yeah,
do,
and I love
I
that
think.
what you're saying because to me, every brand has its own personality and it's something that needs to be sort of extracted, like it has to
Mm,
be sort of discovered. It's like it doesn't just sort of, it's not like a business owner can just come along and be like, oh, this is us, like this is our personality, until
mm,
they've been through like a specific process and asked the right type of questions. And
mm,
that's where it's really exciting for me to be able to communicate this brand personality and give them like a whole new wardrobe that feels aligned for the business owner to have that
mm,
confidence in how they're showing up and knowing 100% in their heart that it is different. Like, I think
mm,
that's so important these days. There's a lot of designers that create logos using stock illustrations or, bits of other logos that they've done or
mm,
that copy from others, which is incredibly distressing. And I'm wondering if maybe that what you were seeing in my portfolio was the hand illustrated kind of element that runs through most of my
mm,
work
mm.
that I had the pleasure of applying to yours. So thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for creating, such an amazing logo. And it was such a process too. I don't think I quite
Mm,
realized that before. I think I was still
mm,
in the headspace a bit when I started looking into it, of being like, it's just a logo. Like it's a logo,
yeah.
that's all we need, and we'll just, roll with it kind of thing. But
Yes.
going through that whole process really, I think I was so, and I think we talked about this too, but I wasn't attached at all to the old stuff because
Mm,
I wasn't loving it anymore.
mm,
I don't know, to be honest, that I ever loved the branding. It was more just that it worked and it was kind of, good enough. But
yeah.
as in my stuff that I had before.
Yeah. It served
But
a purpose for a time.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And yeah, I think just that whole process, really understanding how much goes into it, like even the colors and the psychology
Mm,
behind the colors, I had no idea about that.
mm,
And, when you explained to me why you picked certain colors and things, like it made so much sense. And I did not realize as a business owner how much goes into it.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which has been amazing, because like I said, I didn't really know what I wanted.
Mm,
And so I think being able to go through that, and just to get your perspective as a designer too. Like
mm.
I'm not a designer, I don't have that mind
Yeah.
too. So sort of really seeing how you put it all together, and yeah, it was a really awesome process. I was a bit sad when it finished, to be honest, because it was so
Oh.
helpful, like just for the, for messaging and lots of different elements of what we do.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
I love that. I always miss my clients after I work together too, because it's such a
Yeah.
like an intensive period of closeness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of inevitably form some kind of bond. So
Mm.
that's
Mm.
lovely.
Mm.
But I'd love to know sort of now you're on the other side, you've been through that massive task of applying the rebrand, I think, which is something that puts a lot of business owners off, is like, oh,
Mm.
then I have to change the website and the business cards and,
Mm.
the Instagram feed, and like the whole rollout can be really overwhelming.
Mm.
But you just embraced it with gusto, and I was so impressed. I'd love to know how you're feeling now.
Yeah, no, I feel really good. I think when we were working together, I knew it was sort of coming. I knew that, right,
Yeah.
once, everything's finished on your end, that's when I needed to dedicate the time to it. So I sort of, had in the back of my mind that, right, I'm going to need to spend some time on this. I also felt like, and this is maybe not how everyone would do it, but I just felt like if I did it all in one hit, rather than little bits, I would miss less things.
Mm.
Still miss things. I still, like I said before we started recording, I still find things and go, oh my gosh, that's all the old branding.
Yeah.
But like I do our website too, so I had to totally, redo that. And look, I didn't need to, as in I could have just changed the branding, but I wanted to change all the messaging and the
Yeah.
copy and things
Yeah.
like that. It
You
was a
went
really
through a
good
full rebrand process. Yeah.
yeah, it was a really good opportunity to go back through, and just little things like just some things like, as a lactation consultant, I've been offering support as a LC for, gosh, probably nearly 5 years, but
Mm.
I just got busy with word of mouth. I'd never actually made a specific website page to
Yeah.
reflect that and what a lactation consultant does and what we can help with, and it just hadn't happened. And so there was all these things like that where I could really go back and be like, right, let's just get this right.
Mm.
Not start from scratch, but just really make sure this is what I want to be reflecting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just made a huge list of everything that needed to change. You sent me a really good list as well, which was great, which
Mm.
had, the where to implement your new branding, really. And
Yeah.
I just added in, oh gosh, I think a couple of things like my online course platform and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's still a couple of things, and I just prioritized it with what needed to happen and what things needed to happen all at the same time, like the
Mm.
website, the social media, all the handles, all the, LinkedIn, like just I
Mm.
really sort of tried to prioritize, and I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to, get some flyers organized and change a few things around. To my course workbooks as well, I've changed the slides over to the new branding. But last night when I started teaching, I realized that my course workbooks are still the old branding. So a few
Ah.
things I still need to, but I've got a few of them printed, so should probably use them up first
Yeah.
anyway. But yeah, so still a few things to implement. But yeah, I think I just went, look, I just need to dedicate the time to this, and just blocked out a whole day and a
Mm.
few like late evenings too.
Yes, I imagine so.
Yeah, and just did it, just worked through that list and just kind of kept going. And you provide a lot of advice on that too, around just the sort of reveal on social media. I wasn't sure
Mm.
just the best way to do it. I think you want to maximize not only engagement, but also just people seeing it.
Yeah.
So, going from it being my name on the Instagram to Held Midwifery, I didn't want people to be thinking, who is this? Who am I
Yeah, who's
following?
I didn't follow that person. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it just being a bit confusing. So just really trying to, explain like what we were doing and why we were doing it. And yeah, like I said, we've had amazing feedback from clients, but also from other professionals in our industry as well.
Yeah, you did a beautiful job. You really did. You did an amazing,
Thanks.
like with the lead up and the keeping the audience warm and all that stuff. Like I was just like, yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's
exactly
good.
how
Yeah,
it should
because
be
it's
done.
yeah, I did feel a bit like I didn't know what I was doing, because it's not, obviously you don't rebrand all the time. So
Mm.
it was sort of like, okay, well, let's just do what we think is going to be best. And look, I could have done more. I could have done like a launch giveaway as well, which
Yeah,
was
yeah,
something
there's
that
lots of
I think we
layers.
talked about. Yeah.
Mm,
But I just thought, oh, I just don't have time. So I just didn't.
yeah,
But so, it wasn't perfect, but I think I executed the bits that needed to be, and just
yeah,
kind of focus on my clients and what I would want if I was
yeah,
following a page, and just really understanding, and also understanding that it's not new ownership, it's not a new team, it's still the same team, same midwives, still me, still our
yeah,
team, still the same services, as well, because
yeah.
I didn't, I think being in the health industry, people want to be able to trust who they're working with too, as
Mm,
midwives or lactation consultants,
yeah,
and I didn't, I think, we've got 10 years experience doing this, so I didn't want to just be seen as this new kid on the block, kind of.
yeah, yeah, I totally understand. I
Balance.
think you did a lovely job and you communicated it really well, and it's like you nurtured them through that. Um,
Mm,
and
mm,
yeah, even when you were talking about other things, you gave reminders. And yeah, I just think that's something that if somebody's listening and they are going through a rebrand or they're about to
mm.
rebrand, go and check out Hannah's
Oh,
Instagram,
thanks.
because she did such a great job. And it was, little notes on the website and little notes
Yeah.
in the email signature, and all of those things can just like enhance the process
Mm,
and have a greater impact when you do reveal the brand.
yeah, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going
Yeah,
to be actually to do. Um, I think just again taking those steps, putting the little sort of note on the website, and even our online booking system and things like
yeah,
that, just putting that stuff, and then going all in too. I think if I tried to do it over, say, a month, I would have felt, I don't know, I feel like I would have missed things, or it wouldn't have been as
mm,
consistent, whereas just really dedicated that time and launching in. And then it was easy to talk about too on social media,
yeah,
because I was in it. I was spending time talking to you and,
yeah,
going through the proofs and things. So it was
yeah.
quite natural to be able to talk about it because I was so in it myself.
Yes, yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So, as a final question, what recommendations would you have for a business owner who has been going it alone like you, and they've sort of got to like a point where they've got this lovely, you know, profitable business happening, but they feel like they've maybe hit a bit of a plateau, but they're scared to take that next step? What would you say to that person?
I think really just thinking about the end goal and what you want to convey to your clients, especially for those business that are up and running and profitable. I think branding was almost something that I'd forgot about a little bit, but it's so important. And I can see that now on the other
Mm,
side. Like I just find so many things where I'm like, oh gosh, look at that. That's horrible from before. And I didn't feel like that, previously. But I think, having like a lean startup, I think that could be quite sensible. But also, when
absolutely.
you do start getting some cash flow, really investing in doing things well,
Mm,
because it will pay off
yeah.
hugely. And just, yeah, the consistency. And also my confidence too has shifted when I think the way I talk about the business,
Mm,
especially with other health professionals, is different to when it was just my
mm,
name. It just felt a bit, I don't know, not reflective of what we're
mm,
about. And so yeah, I just think just make the calculated decision, work with someone who you really trust their work, I think too, because I think that made the process so much easier. I think if I wasn't confident, I might have been like, oh, I'm not sure.
mm, yeah,
Because
100%.
you're so used to your own branding, when you see something different, it's a bit like, oh, this is
Yeah.
different. But then really sitting with it and hearing the decisions that were made, it's like, oh yeah, this is perfect. But you
Mm,
just wouldn't look at it that way as a business owner, I think
yeah.
sometimes. So yeah, I think just picking someone that you trust, and
Yeah.
trusting that their skills, their design skills, are not different to yours, totally more experienced than yours, but like, no, I think to me, like, I'm not
I
saying that,
understand.
you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like, yeah, just
Yeah.
pick someone that you really trust their work, because that will make
Yeah.
the process so much easier. Or someone that you align with, you like
Yeah.
what they create, you like their approach, you feel like they're on the same page as you, because I think that will make the process so much easier too.
Yes. Such good advice. Like you've really hit the nail on the head. You really have to gel with the person that you're working with. And
Mm,
certainly, yeah, have some kind of affinity with the previous work that they have done for other brands.
mm,
Yeah, good advice. So thank you
mm.
so much, Hannah. I've just loved chatting with you. It's nice to reconnect.
Yeah, it's been so
Um,
nice to chat.
so where can our listeners find you if they want to come and have a chat or learn about what you do? Because I know you have some online programs as well.
So We are quite active on Instagram. It's probably our main social media platform, which is just Held Midwifery. Our website is heldmidwifery.com.au, and there's all the info on there around the services that we offer in Adelaide. But then, like you said, our online support, we do lots of telehealth as well. So you don't need to live in Adelaide to be able to work with us. And that's on Facebook as well. It's just Held Midwifery, but Instagram is really where I hang out the most.
Perfect. So if you just Google Held Midwifery, then you'll be
pop
just
up.
fine.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rachel.
If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, I invite you to share the link with another woman in business or someone who needs to hear this message. Every woman we can support to grow a meaningful, profitable brand is another woman who is free to live a purposeful life for herself and be more present for her family. None of us are alone in the challenges we face in business, but the solution can start with a gift from someone else, and it could be a podcast episode just like this one. Thank you for listening.